Welcome to the Sales Genius Podcast. I'm the host, Joe Ingram. We're going to be turbocharging your sales journey today. We have the privilege of hosting a panel of sales experts, right? They're going to come in and help focus your dealership sales department to sell more vehicles in 2024, which I think is important for all of us. If you're not in automotive sales, this show is still going to be beneficial because sales is a skill you need to master regardless of the industry. So I myself have made this industry my specialty for over 20 years now and have taken several dealerships to the coveted 1,000 units per month in sold vehicles and to number one in the nation. So in today's episode, Revving Up Car Sales in 2024, we're going to explore the innovative strategies and technologies that are setting the new standard for success. So buckle up as we dive into this conversation that promises to supercharge your sales. Let's get started.
Welcome to War Games, hosted by the sales genius Joe Ingram. If you're looking to win the sales battle, then you have joined the right team. In the War Games group, we devise strategies for sales, marketing, branding, mindset, and attitude. We enlist the assistance from the most successful producers across all industries. We then share their knowledge and techniques with you. Our single goal is to get you ready for your next sales opportunity. When it comes to crossing the minefield of sales, step in the footprints of those that have crossed before you. Now, prepare yourself for boot camp and beyond. It's time for the War Games to begin.
Are we playing a game?
Welcome, War Gamers. Let me pull up some people up on the screen. The VIPs. Bob Donnell's with us. Brian Galkey is with us. Ty, the car guy, and JR, our resident automobile enthusiast. So I want to start off today by giving you guys some insights and to go through. And again, we've adopted this to say, hey, let's take something that can help you to sell more vehicles and take it to that next level that we're all trying to get. See what I did, Bob? It says next level right there. Yes. Okay, fantastic. So I want to throw it over to my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Galkey, to start us off because he's got the good stuff that nobody ever pays attention to. Right?
You mean me personally? Thank you, Joe.
No one pays attention to you personally.
I know, it's so sad.
Yes. Look, in fact, look, Brian's gone. Yes.
Oh, hey.
Okay, now he's
very nice.
Hey, no respect.
That's right.
Brian, switch with me. There we
All
go.
right.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, one of the things that we're going to do today is go over kind of how Joe and I met, and that was 5 years ago. We realized the other day.
Love story.
Yeah.
Yes.
We joined a mastermind together, and I was really impressed with all of Joe's sales skills and his networking skills. So one of the things that I wanted to do is help share with Joe's audience because Joe helped change my life. So what we're going to share with you guys today is the skills that helped change my life the most, and that's going to be a combination of how to decode people's facial features, a little bit about body language, and then a little bit about statement analysis. So with that, I am going to present just for a few minutes a little bit of the screen here. Joe, can you add it in since I can't? Perfect. All right. So what we're going to talk about is some subtle skills you can use to help in the sales business. Today, we're talking about automotive. So we'll talk about if somebody comes in, what can you do to help sell them based on their facial features? So with that being said, let's get to the next slide there. All right, so who am I? I'm Brian Galkey. Why do I have to have the logo? Because nobody can say Galkey, and I'm known as the people problem solver. And what it is, it's just a new way to understand people. And the really cool part is it's the first proactive sales skill I was ever taught. I learned this back in 2010, changed my life. If you want to learn more information, follow me, you name it. Just right here at settleskills.com, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. A lot of the books that I'll talk about today are on this QR code as well. Feel free to scan it, or you can just go to getthecheatsheet.com. Why do I have that? Because nobody can spell settle. So with that being said, what we're going to talk about is how to understand people based on their facial features, how to have some conversations with them, and then what is their body language saying about them at the exact same time. So where did I learn all this from? It's all about having the right mentors. The first guy you see here on the left in the black and white, his name is Mac Fulfer. He was the attorney that taught me how to read faces. And when I first heard of it, I thought there's no way this can be real, because I have tons of books on body language, statement analysis, how to win friends and influence people. And so I learned it to prove that this guy was a fraud. And instead, this guy changed my life. That was back in 2010. You'll recognize there in the middle, Mr. Voss. That book, Never Split the Difference, I think everyone should have. And then on the far right is Janine Driver, the body language expert. We're going to be talking about their books. Janine, I get to work with on stages. We have a course called Read the Face, Read the Room. And that's, how do you prepare to go into a meeting? And then what do you need to pay attention to once you're in there? So Mac was an attorney who learned this for jury consulting and ended up realizing that it had universal application. He left his law practice, and traveled the world teaching everyone how to understand others based on their facial features. Like I mentioned, I was lucky enough to bump into him through fluke accident. He taught me the skills. It changed my life. Took me from being on the help desk as an introvert to a regional vice president of sales. But let's get right into it so you can learn from it. I'm kind of known as the eyebrow guy. I talk about all the facial features, but I always talk about eyebrows because eyebrows lead to eye contact. And the cool thing about eyebrows is even when somebody walks in your door, or as soon as they step foot on the dealership, their eyebrows tell you how to talk to them and then how to speak their language. So here's examples of eyebrows. So if someone has eyebrows, we talk about, if you're like me and you like comedies, we talk about highbrow humor and lowbrow humor. Well, highbrow humor is when somebody tells you a joke and you have to think about it for a minute and then you laugh. Lowbrow humor is Jackass and Three Stooges, where you laugh immediately. So when you see people with higher eyebrows, imagine data racing from the top of your forehead to get into your eye. It's like having a speed bump in the middle of the road. So you can only go so fast, have to go over the speed bump and try and speed up again. So people who have higher eyebrows just need a little more time to make a decision. So you're probably gonna have to, let them take the test drive, walk around, answer a lot more questions. On the opposite side of that is if somebody has very low eyebrows, like the four people here, imagine that same speed bump is at the end of the road. So you can speed down the road and you only have to slow down at the very end. So when you see someone who has low eyebrows, you can get to the point very, very fast. So if you're talking to two people, let's just say you got 30 minutes on their calendar, high eyebrow people, you're probably gonna have to talk for 25 minutes. If they've got low eyebrows, you're gonna talk for 5, stop talking, and let them ask questions. So it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just how long does it take to process information to make that decision. So that's the first thing we look at is eyebrow height. The higher it is, the more time you're going to need to talk. The lower it is, the less time you talk to get them to buy. So being in sales, one call closes can happen all day with low eyebrow people. These are people who are probably come walk the lot and then come back again later on. All right, there's 3 basic shapes of eyebrows as well. So there's straight eyebrows, get straight to the point. Facts, figures, data. What I love about this is people go, well, how did you learn this? It's been around since the Greeks. And every book you ever read, only 2 ways to describe the characters in the book were through their actions and through their facial features. Well, guess what? Television and movies been teaching us those same things as well. So what do you see over here? You see Spock. And Spock known for? Logic when he was making decisions. Next one over is angled eyebrow. Angled eyebrows are what's their angle? Help them understand it before they make the purchase. So you just think, hey, what's their angle as soon as you understand it? And then the third type of eyebrow is rounded eyebrow. Rounded eyebrow people think about the people around them first and yourself second. So let's say somebody walks into your dealership, straight eyebrows. I'm going to say, what are you interested in? The interest rate, the payments? Do you need to know the miles per gallon? What do you need to know about the vehicle itself? If they have angled eyebrows, remember, what's their angle? So what's the most important feature for you when looking at a new car? Rounded eyebrows, think about the people around them first and themselves second. Wait till your friends see you pull up in this new car. So you're still selling the car, but you're selling it based on what the person's face says about them. People ask all the time, can you read palms? Nope, sure can't. And they ask, well, what's the accuracy level? I can tell you it's not 100%, but in the 14 years I've been using this, it's in the high 90s. So once you understand the eyebrow basics, then I look a little bit lower. And why am I picking these features again? Because again, we're looking for eye contact. It's a lost art. I love these devices right here, but they connect us to the world, but they disconnect us from each other. So when you give people true eye contact and you're studying their face, they know that you're making it about them. So what's their angle? You look here, there's 3 basic types. First one is upward angled eyes. So if their eyes going from the inside of their eye to the outside of their eye, if they look up and angle up, they want to hear about the features, the benefits, the positive things. Why is this the best product that's known to man? If their eyes angled down, they just expect, oh, here we go, typical sales process. They're going to try and sell me on all these features and benefits. I want to know about the downside of something. So for example, if you know that one of the downsides that customers complain about is the amount of time they're going to spend in the dealership or how long the process takes, you bring that up to the person whose eyes angle down because they're worried about the downside. What can go wrong versus what can go right? When I used to sell technology sales, if this was the second or third generation, I would talk about what's different in this generation that we learned from our mistakes in the past. So let's say, for example, we have a friend who he got a Ford Bronco as soon as it came out, and he had electrical issues with it, and he ended up returning it to the factory. Well, if I know that information has happened before, I could bring that up. Hey, I know you've probably heard some people had blank issue with blank car, but this is what they did and fixed it in this revision, this model. So you talk about past concerns, issues. Not a lot of people have had positive experiences when they're going into a dealership. This is how you can work around it. And then the last one is if their eyes are angled even, then you talk about the pros, the cons. You don't really have to lean towards one way, but look and see what they nod for or what do they lean in when you're talking about it. So that's how to understand people based on their facial features. Now, another one is keep a stiff upper lip. Well, we're taught in sales, ask a lot of personal questions, but not everybody wants you to get that personal. So we say the phrase, keep a stiff upper lip. What does that mean? Be stoic. Don't share your emotions. So if the first two people come in here and you can see they've got flatter upper lips, don't ask a lot of personal questions. You can ask external stuff. What do you do for a living? What brought you in here? You can ask about other people and the rest of their life, but don't ask a lot of personal questions. However, if somebody comes in like the second two that have larger upper lips and you don't ask personal questions, then they're going to feel like it's too transactional. So you may make the sale, but they're not going to refer anyone else to you. So this is about, I know my product, I should know my script, but I'm adjusting it all the time based on the person that's in front of me. So if you are a gentleman, you have a mustache or a beard, I highly recommend, like here, you trim it so that we can see your upper lip. Women use lipstick. As a matter of fact, the number one plastic surgery right now is lip enhancement. That's the entire reason why. So you now know a lot of information based on people just on their facial features. So when you're talking to people, the other thing to consider is, are they auditory? Are they visual? Are they kinesthetic? Why? Because again, you want to speak their language. It's kind of like when you travel to another country, I can go and expect and demand that they speak English. And if they don't, it's not going to end so well. But if I try to speak their language, then they're going to attempt to speak mine at the exact same time. So when you start looking at people, you do a direct comparison of how large or small is their ear, how large or small is their eye. So all four of these judges here have larger ears and smaller eyes. And some people go, well, yeah, they're musicians. Doesn't that just prove the point even more so? So it's not a direct correlation of ear to eye, comparing them together, but for the size of their head, do they have large ears or small ears? Large eyes or small eyes? That's what we're looking at when someone comes in. Why is that important? Well, here, if you see four people who come in, let's say not four people are going to come to buy a car, but if they come in, they have larger ears and smaller eyes, I'm going to use auditory phrases. Hey, so I hear what you're saying. Does it sound like this is the deal you're looking for? You use auditory words. If you're going to talk to them, you can call them on the phone, let them know you got the car in stock, send them a voice text instead of a regular text. And if you want to test it and you're not really sure, everybody loves getting a video this day and age. We've talked about this before with Joe. Joe will not answer. If you send him a voice text, you're never going to get a response. He'll probably just delete it. But there's a friend of ours, Janine Driver, the body language expert. If you send her a regular text, she'll ignore you for days. But if I send her a voice text, she's on the ball immediately. Opposite of that is when you look at these three people here, they were all artists. What do they all have? Very large eyes. Now, we can't necessarily see their ears, but you can still look at their face and go, oh, those are pretty large eyes. So they're more visual. As a matter of fact, the third guy here, Van Gogh, he decided that ears weren't even that important. He just cut one off.
That's on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's his passport photo probably, so he can show his one good ear.
Yeah,
Whatever.
guy can't wear sunglasses, right? But when you're talking to visual people, I'm visual. I will hang up the phone call and go, okay, I'll see you later. So I'm just a visual person also. But when you're talking to them, you can text them, you can email them. things that they want to see. And you'll say, hey, do you see where I'm coming from? Picture this, visualize that. Use visual and visual words when you're talking to them at the exact same time. Then the last one's a little bit harder. Kinesthetic is the wide area right here, like you see in both pictures. That's called the libido line. The wider that is, the more physically demonstrative someone is. They want to go for the test drive. They want to hold the brochure. When it's harder to see on some people with beards. So that's why I teach that one last. It's not always the easiest one to see. Very easy to see on women or people who don't have mustaches or facial hair. But if you see someone that's kinesthetic, you can let them touch the car, sit in it, feel the leather, use action words. Hey, once we roll up our sleeves and get to work, wait till you drive this thing home. Once you hit the ground running, oh, you're going to love this vehicle. Use action words when you're talking to them. And when you're giving them a handshake, what you can do is you can do the double handshake because they're physical touch people. So obviously you can't hug them right off the bat. You don't know them, but you can do the double handshake and that helps them as well. So it's just learning. Again, you learned larger ears, larger eyes. Do they have the wide area right here? And you're just going to change it to speak their language. And people say, oh, well, that's manipulation. No, that's me not being a narcissist and demanding that you do things my way. Instead, it's me adjusting to speak to you in your own language. Another thing you can do, if they send you an email, you can look through the email and try and figure out what words are they using the most. So this was a letter of a CEO to a company. And I went through it before I met with them. And what you can see is it's all action words. So sit down, take the medicine, run the risk, embracing, position yourself. So how do you think I answered back in an email to their company? I used all action words. So this is just the power of people are telling you how to talk to them and how to speak their language. And this is just you adjusting at the exact same time. How am I doing on time, Joe?
There you go.
Keep going. I don't think Joe can hear me, so I am going to keep going.
Joe
Good news.
can hear you. I just don't think you can hear Joe.
Okay, now you're back, Joe.
Okay. Yes. So go for a couple more minutes, Brian.
Sure. I just didn't want to monopolize the whole time here. So.
Yeah, I know how you are.
I know. You just get me going on this. I'm going through the super condensed version. So
I had to restart everything so I can have everybody see the screen on the other side. So
I get you.
Lynn says hi. Hi, Lynn.
Hello. All right. So this is how do you have difficult discussions with people? A lot of the sales process isn't always fun. People are defensive right off the bat because we've all heard those bad rumors, bad stories, and sometimes we've had those bad experiences buying anything. So the first thing you have to do is you have to stop pushing your product and think about it from the buyer's perspective. What are their concerns when they walk in the door? They're going to feel like they got ripped off, they paid too much, you name it. But you can only do that if you stop thinking about your commission and you start thinking about what are their concerns? What areas do they have? So once you think of it from their side of the fence, then what you have to start doing is stop thinking about all the information you got in your head. Empty your head out. This is a brand new conversation. Think about in the middle here, the questions that they're going to have, their biggest regret, their biggest concerns, and always keep, no matter how upset someone gets, keep your voice low and slow. We all know Chris Voss, he talks about late night DJ voice. It's unbelievably powerful to calm people down in difficult situations. So body language real fast. What's that, Joe?
Right. You're right, Brian.
Exactly. And I realize I'm defeating the purpose of that because I'm talking fast, but that's because I want to get you guys as much material as I can before Joe cuts me off. So last but not least, both Joe and I had the pleasure of sharing a stage with Janine Driver. Her book's on the left, You Say More Than You Think. This is a great book that everyone in sales needs to pick up because it's what does my body language say about me? The book on the right, What Everybody is Saying by Joe Navarro is how do I read everyone else's body language? So the important things are, what am I saying? If you're standing, make sure you have open body posture versus closed off body posture. Same thing when you're sitting. Don't try not to cross your legs or your ankles. Try and keep open body posture there as well. And then, of course, Chris Voss has never split the difference. I talked about this. Repeat after me. How do you let the people know that you are actively listening to them when they're talking? Well, the first thing is you don't want to be like the person on the left where you lean back, lean forward, give gestures, nod, agree, because sometimes people confuse eye contact that you're not listening. Some people visualize things, so they're not looking at you while you're talking to them. Then you pick a keyword out of what they're talking. So if they're talking about their concerns with buying a car, anything like that, pick one important word. And Joe will talk about this later on. You have to mimic their exact word. Don't change it to a word that you like that's similar. Pick the one word and just all you have to say back to them is that word. So the first lady here, she's going on a lot of information, said, I've just really had a hard day. Sometimes somebody's in there to get a car because their car got totaled. Well, if you don't show that you have any emotion, you're not actively listening to them, they're not going to buy from you. But she can go on her entire day and just say hard day. You lean forward with that good body language and say hard day. And they'll say yes, and they'll expand and give you more information. So we already talked about lean in, make sure you're doing your body language, ask good questions. So if they tell you their whole story, you don't have to say hard day. You can say so you and paraphrase it. Don't say verbatim what they told you, or they're going to feel like you're just doing the copycat thing. And we all, when we were kids, don't copy me. Well, but you can still give back what you heard without it being the exact version of that. And then they'll expand even more. And last but not least, if they start getting, you see any of these type of signs, afraid, aggravated, aggressive, or agitated, you can call it out in the sales process. But the important thing is you don't say, oh, it seems to me like, take yourself out of it. So you start with the so you statements, or it seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. The it is nebulous. It's kind of like, well, that's what they say. Who's the they? So what you do is you take yourself out of it by calling out the emotion, but not saying that I'm the one that noticed the emotion. So those are the ones I had for everybody, Joe. I take that back. One more here. Mirroring and matching. Look, too many people know about this skill. So the problem is a tactic known as a tactic blown. If you see that they cross their arms and they catch you actually looking at them and then crossing your arms, they're on to you. So the way I like to use mirroring and matching is I like to notice when it's happening organically or naturally. And then I go, oh, good, we're in rapport, but I don't try and force it. So with that, I will stop sharing the screen. Thank you, Joe, for giving me some time today. So stop.
Absolutely. Screen. Thank you, Brian. I know I do teach your stuff too when I'm ever out here in the trenches with everyone else. Mm-hmm. So, and Ty did lean in. When you said lean in, he leaned forward to go, what is he saying? So that was all unconscious. You had him wrapped up. Bob Donnell, throw out some wisdom. So Bob Donnell is one of these guys that is the absolute, like the best at connecting with another human being. Bob's the one that actually said it. Look, people say things all the time, but you can only hear it from the people that you allow to speak into you. Bob was the one that said the quality of your answers are dependent upon the quality of the questions you're asking, right? So I immediately came up with the best question ever, which was, and Bob's embarrassed every time we go to a group meeting, and I say, Bob told me the question thing is really important. So if you were a pirate, what would your pirate name be, right? And every single person Bob introduces me to is like, what? And Bob's like, and off I go. Leave me alone. Right? He's like, I don't know. Did I introduce him? I don't think so. He was over by the punch bowl, and that's what we did. But,
great.
But no. Great. So Bob himself runs Next Level, right? So he's got the Next Level by association. You can see on his hat. There it is, right? And how to get you to the next level. So connecting with people is really important. Okay. But does the inside of you match what you're trying to project outside? Right. So, Bob, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you guys. In Connectology, which is a course I teach, I talk about the 3 C's of connecting. One is to contact, which we're all pretty good at contacting, passing out business cards, saying hi, what do you do, all that kind of stuff. The next one is connecting. So you move from that contact to how do you connect with another human being. More people are dying of lack of connection than they are from any drug overdose. As a matter of fact, a lot of drug overdoses and a lot of drug addictions have a stem. They stem from the lack of connection, the ability to connect with themselves, with a higher power, or with people around them. So it's that connection. Then the last piece is cultivate. So 3 C's: contact, connect, then cultivate. So that cultivation doesn't require a lot of time. And people always ask me, how long does it take to really contact or connect with another individual? Well, that can be varied based on the environment that you're in when you're trying to do it, the method that you're using, and then also how you're showing up and how they're showing up is going to be, it's going to be largely dependent on that. But the idea of this cultivation may be just a simple handshake, or like Brian talked about, a double handshake for certain individuals. That may just be a connection point for them. So that cultivate may not take more than one instance. But we have to understand that there are 3 levels: contact, connect, cultivate. And in that cultivation, it might be emails, it might be phone calls, auditorially, all those kind of things, kinesthetically. The bottom line is if we try and shortcut the process, we will always lose. And because the people aren't craving your product, your service, or even your conversation, what they're really craving is the ability to connect. And again, connect is different for different people. I love what Brian talks about so much, because it's dependent on different people. How they connect is a different thing. And so when I look at that, I look at people say, well, Bob, what do I do? How do I do it naturally? We don't want to match and mirror they're picking up on that. So Roger Ailes, who was a great speech coach for Ronald Reagan and some other people, and founded Fox, he had a great statement. Somebody asked him, how do you, what should I be mindful of if I'm doing a speech? Should I be mindful about the idea to my voice inflection, my eye contact, my movement around the stage? And short answer is, he said yes. But his ability to connect the dots was, he said, look, if I ask you to tell me about your family, about your kids, you won't have to think about any one of those things you just asked me about, because you'll just do it naturally. So what we want to do is we want to tie in our message to our method and to our messenger, who we are, because in doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to do the things naturally, and it's not going to come off as contrived or postured or anything like that. So when he said that, he said, talk about, if you're talking about your family, the person's eye contact will be immediate. Their voice inflection will be natural. Their movement around the stage, their hand gestures will all be congruent. And that's the study. That's the answer to the solution, or the solution that we're looking for, is how do we do it naturally so that it happens? Well, make sure that your method, your message, and your messenger are congruent. I get asked all the time to review people's speeches, and I'll say, well, which one fell short? Your method, your message, or your messenger? Well, I don't think any of them did. Well, there's always going to be one or more if you're not getting the answers you want from your clients. So somebody comes into your car lot, you want to talk to them about, if they walk away and they don't buy, they walk away and you didn't achieve the objective that you were looking for, whatever that was. And I highly recommend that it not be that they buy the car on the first time, but that you cultivate a relationship with them so that they do want to buy from you, even if they don't buy right then. All you have to do is look and say, which fell short, the method, the message, or the messenger. And you'll be able to see the method. Well, the fact that I approached them probably was X, or the fact that I waited for them to come to me, or the fact that I walked across the lot, whatever it is, you can look at the method that you approached them. Then you look at the message. What did I say? And then the last piece is the messenger. How did you say it? How did you show up? Who were you being in the moment when you approached them? Who were you being in the moment that you made your presentation? Who were you being in the moment of asking them questions? One of the things I say is the quality of your connections will always be determined by the quality of questions you ask. The quality of questions you ask, I avoid like the plague. Joe knows this. What do you do? I avoid it like the plague. Matter of fact, somebody says, hey, Bob, what do you do? I try and cut them off before they ever get to that point, because my standard answer is, well, one of the things I do is teach people to not ask what do you do as an opening line of question. And I'll tell you what happens. They will either be back on their heels or they will walk away, right? Because they're not going to like that answer. But the ones that are the most, that benefit from it the most, and I benefit from the relationship, is there was a guy that came up to me and says, Bob, what do you do? Before I could say anything, and Glenn Morshower, which we all know, Glenn Morshower goes, well, it's like, oh, Bob's gonna say it. And I said, well, one of the things I do is teach people to not ask what do you do as an opening line of question. And he goes, I need to learn from you. Well, do you think he was my people? Absolutely. We're still great friends to this day. Why? Because it didn't offend him. It helped him understand the reason I was saying that. Because what is important to me is more important about who you are than what you do. Who you are and who you talk to on a car lot, who you talk to in personal life, who they are is more important than what they do, because who they are will determine the quality of everything that they do. And so those are the three things that I really fixate on is how am I approaching it? Method, message, messenger, contact, connect, and cultivate is the key. And then really understanding that my agenda does not matter to them. My commission check does not matter to them. My sales award does not matter to them. Nothing. What matters to them is who they are and what they find to be important to them in their lives in that given moment. And just because somebody, we look at the 6 human needs, right? And we go significance, contribution, growth, all these things. And you go, well, okay, so if somebody's really important about significance, then that'll be true all the time. No, that might be true about the car that they choose to buy that day. But guess what? If they were just in a car accident and their car was totaled, significance may be a very low priority to them. They may want something else, right?
They want safety. They want safety from the Subarus.
There you go. Those
That's
Subarus.
what all the commercials look like. Yeah,
that'll do it. That'll do it. It's true. It's true. So, I mean, I think those are the things that I look at. I go, how do I connect with somebody? Really, it's just by me being authentically me explaining a lot of questions. The best thing I can say is quality questions. I was going to meet with the cops today for coffee with cops. And I asked myself the question, I asked Flo, who was with me, and I said, so what are we going there for? She said, to say hi to the cops. I said, nah, I'd rather go there and let them know that they matter. That I want them to feel like they actually matter beyond their badge. So I said, so what can I ask them that would help me get beyond the badge? And we started talking about some of the questions we could ask. We could ask, how long did you get in law enforcement? Why did you get in law enforcement? Any other family members in law enforcement? And we started developing better questions. So when we got there, we didn't have to think about what we're trying to achieve. We knew what the objective was. And then we already had formed at least 2 or 3 questions that helped us do that. And in that criteria, and the ability to connect with them was really in the quality of the questions. And we had some amazing conversation. And I think that's just a natural byproduct of when you show up, the method, the messenger are congruent. You show up and then you say, I'm going to ask the best questions possible in order for me to understand them and what's important to them. That's when we win. And that's when they win. So guess what? The world is a better place when we all operate from that space.
Bob, you and I got to hang out more. I couldn't agree more with what you said. One, I was in Nashville speaking at an event 2 weeks ago, and the photographer was taking headshot pictures for everybody, but she asked personal questions to change people's faces. That was number one. Number two, wow. I love it. I hate the what do you do? So I say, hey, now that we can travel again, where are you going to next? Because people show up to work, but people plan their vacation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And third, I have a 7-year-old. I ask her if she feels like it, and she sees a police officer to walk up and say, thank you for your service, because that's what they don't hear enough. And I want her to know she can trust police officers. And then on the same side, that they don't always feel like they're under attack.
Right. Right. Wow. That's so great, man. That's great. Yeah. I would love to. Definitely. Let's spend some time together.
And we have matching attire. So
that's true. It's true.
Yeah.
We're twins.
Yeah. And you both got it from the Steve Sims closet. So you both out there going, let's wear the same thing today and tomorrow. So,
that's right.
Fantastic. Okay. So my shot to come in here. Look, what do I believe is the most important thing is we got to sell cars, right? As a car dealership, the goal is to sell cars. Now, Bob said doesn't want to sell it right away. I do, right? So again, most people that come onto a dealership lot, when they get there and start looking, right, they're going to be done on the first day. Over half of them are done the first day. So if you can't get to the point where you're actually contacting, connecting, and cultivating, right? And as Bob said too, cultivating means what? There's no time frame on it.
Right.
It can all happen within minutes, right? When you hit somebody. So now don't walk up to them and just when they go, hey, what are you doing here? Go, I teach people not to ask how I'm doing today. No, that's not what you're taking away from Bob. Okay. I don't want anybody out there going, we're fighting on the lot because we walked up to a customer, right? And Brian's like, and I know I can hit them this way because their eyebrow is off on this side and go back the other side. But we don't want to do that. Okay. So I'm Joe. I'm the one that loves to play with AI, especially when it comes to sales and going through that. So I put together this little presentation thing I'm going to pull up here for you. So present a screen. No, entire screen window. That's here. So can't share a Chrome tab. So this one, share, and I'll come up here. So you guys can see the screen. I'm hoping. And if you're muted, I can't hear you anyway. But I'm going to run with it and says you can see the dealer sparks.
We're seeing your entire screen, which is you're sharing the
I'm sharing the actual PowerPoint version. Yeah, because my second monitor is not working with the setup from earlier.
Right,
So-
but you're showing the StreamYard. We can see who's in there, the guests, the comments.
Awesome. Do you see the one where Brian? Oh, look at that.
There we go. Now we're in the Matrix.
Yes, that's amazing. I do love that. Yes.
Was it the blue pill or the red pill? I forget.
Right. So if I say share screen and I go back to let's share this screen here. So I share it, but then I close this one and open this
Let's
one.
see. There you go. Now it's not full screen, but we can at least see your PowerPoint.
Okay, you can see I'm going to move this down so now it
There
doesn't
you
look
go.
like you can see anything. You're going to be like, what is that, Joe? Okay, so Dealer Sparks, right? The Dealer Sparks is what I created. So what am I saying on this one, right? I need Sales Sparks is my way of engaging with a customer. So a Sales Spark to me is when you meet with the customer and then you connect right away. Going with Bob's thing, when the middle, when you're connecting, getting ready to cultivate, I've already looked at you, so I know exactly how to go through. But a spark is where, boom, the client and I connect. But today, what the hardest thing is everybody's reaching out to us over the internet. And then what do we try to do? We try to say, great, if you reached out to me on the internet, the first thing I got to do to prove you're real is do what? Get you on the phone.
Get your number.
Yeah. So the numbers usually we get the leads come in with a phone number so they know to ignore us. But, right, I need to text you and I need to actually call you. So then I know you're real because I have two-way communication. And the reason that's so important for the dealership side is why? That's how I get protection. So you can't steal my lead. So we modify all of our processes just to fit what our CRM process is in the store. I want to make sure you're somebody that I can provide enough value to that you feel the benefit to come in to the dealership so that you believe whatever I've done with you will be extended face to face. And so the issue we have a lot of times with this is that people get on the internet, they send us a message, and then we send some really crappy stuff back to them. We put in bad language as far as grammar and spelling and everything else, right? We have several people. I'm at a store today with people behind the screen over here, but we have some of the people, we can't understand them face to face. So we know for a fact if they're face to face, and I'm not saying Marlon out loud, but face to face can't understand them. But then we go and put them in front of a computer. And if English is not the primary language, now, if the customer writes to us in Spanish, you better be getting the Spanish speaker to write back to them. But then every time I do all of my scripting in Spanish, everybody goes, yeah, but that sounds like you're from this place, right? But in this country, we say it, and I'm like, whoa, I can't. Can we find a neutral spot and just go in there? So you got to try to build a connection, but you also have to make sure you sound professional enough, right? Without being too casual or without being less than professional. And that's where it comes in really difficult. Like, so with me, right, I say, why would you use any of the dealer sparks that I have for sales or service? But it'll literally, you can take what a customer sends you, plug it in and say, tell me what they sound like personality wise. Now we can adjust every single thing we want to do with this person. Okay. If a person comes in and just says, hey, I need to know da 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 da, you ask Sales Spark, hey, what kind of personality is this person and how should I respond back to them? So we're utilizing AI. I don't believe AI should be left alone to run free. and just simply try to get appointments. That only works about 17% of the time in automotive. So if you get 100 internet requests, it'll set 17 appointments. How do you get to 20 and 25% close rates in your dealership? You can't with a 17% set, and then you end up with 8 people that show up. Okay, so it's not going to help you to get where you want to do. It's great to have to do the little touch base and follow up with people, but I need help real time with people. So personalized interactions, right? We can offer tailored answer to the customer, and it's going to be data driven based on all the data that we've plugged into the system over years of doing the automotive. Okay. It's going to get you better sales performance, right? You can actually communicate to a customer a lot better. And I want to show you some examples. So I have this one here. So this is the user is a salesperson within a dealership who logs in with their code and goes in. It says customer called the dealership. Look, right? We don't even have to spell properly or write properly. From out of state asking for used F-150 stock number this, but was sold yesterday. Okay, so if it was sold yesterday, how are we going to sell it, right? The system says, I understand it was sold yesterday, okay? But so the assistant that we create comes back and gives us an answer that we can copy and paste into a text message or copy and paste into an email, depending on how we're communicating with that customer, okay? Another user says customer is firm on price around 20 grand. How do you come over that? He goes, great. Here, this is what we're talking about. We have this vehicle. We have this. But do you see what I'm saying? It sounds a lot better than going, what? 20 grand? Are you kidding? Right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen people reply that way. So it's definitely not the best way to go about with the customer. But this gives you another example, right? So the customer told me yesterday they will see if they can get their mom to co-sign for them. Write me an email. I can send them today. That's not intrusive. So it's literally going to go write it. And it comes up, dear customer name, blah, blah, blah. Now, if they said customer's name is this, my name is this, write me an email, it would just put all that information into the email so they can copy and paste it directly into the CRM. But again, it goes in. I understand you're considering having a co-signer to assist with the process. This is common and beneficial step for many buyers. So all of a sudden, we became a lot more professional in the eyes of the prospect. And when we become more professional and elevated in the eyes of the prospect, we have a much better chance they're going to come in because they are expecting Nordstrom's as opposed to Target. Okay? You get a different experience at Target than you get at Nordstrom's. And I want to be the Nordstrom's one that they're looking and saying, hey, we can definitely get something better. So utilizing AI real time is what we're going to help with. Look, so what's the best answer for I do not have a car I'm willing to trade in? We all know MSRP means nothing. It's all about the invoice. Okay. So a lot of people in most dealerships, they're just going to pass over it. They're going to say, okay, dead lead because I can't handle it. But look, I understand your perspective. The invoice price does provide a clearer picture of dealership cost. However, it's important to remember factors such as market demand, availability, and dealership incentives can also influence the price. Let's focus on finding a fair and competitive deal that aligns with your expectations and the value of the vehicle. I'm not answering back to you, just do what you want to do. Okay? I'm not answering to you, hey, let's just discount everything, because that's not going to help us with what we're doing. So hopefully that makes sense as we go in. Another thing, hey, sorry, Ty, you jumped back in. But so in looking at this, I also want to go, there's another program that I got turned on to, which is VidCall, I believe is what it is, that you can put on the dealership website. I was playing with it the other day. Yeah. So vidcalls.com. So VidCalls actually puts on a link on the website for someone to click on, and then it immediately notifies your sales department, either on their cell phone or at their desktop PC if they have cameras, and it will connect you live to that customer. The customer's not streaming. You're looking at a blank thing unless they want to turn on their camera, but immediate connection. So I use, again, if we want to sell more cars, okay, I have connections over at CallDrip. So CallDrip, as soon as a customer emails, we can turn every email into a phone call. Okay, so how do we do that? If there's a phone number in the lead they submit, Call Drip goes in, grabs that phone, and it dials the phone of whoever's up, whoever's the next person in line. It will call that salesperson. The phone rings. They pick up the phone and it says, you have a customer named so-and-so who's interested in stock number so-and-so. It takes all the information from the lead and it says, press 2 to connect. And then you just press 2 and it dials that customer's phone. It's recording both, right? It's saying I'm recording it for you, but you connect to the customer. Number one thing the customer ever hear or we hear on recordings is, wow, that was fast. Okay. And in the world of car sales and internet sales, it's who gets to the customer first, right? Statistically, we have to get to that person way ahead of the competition. And on a lot of manufacturer sites, they're sending a lead out to people, right? In almost every industry, but in automotive specifically, to 5 different dealerships that are around them. So when I get that lead, it's going to be, I'm one of 5 people that are all calling you. And that's how the customer gets mad at you and goes, will you stop calling me? You're like, this is my first call. But to them, it's just all of you peoples, right, are calling me at the same time. Of course we are. But that's what I want people to understand, is that you need to make sure you can get to the customer prior to anybody else. But what do you sound like? With my Sales Sparks, you can role play. You can go in there and go, hey, customer says this. What do I say? Boom, a bounce back. I want to be the customer. I'm telling you this. And it gives you the answer back. You say, can you be the customer? And you'll go back and forth. But it's still a manual process that requires the salesperson to do it. Okay. Last thing I want to give you guys before we jump out of here, because we are going long, but I want you to sell more cars.
Okay.
Yes, Jer?
One quick thing. So much good stuff being said in the real estate business. So I don't know about cars. I sold cars, but with mortgages, if you didn't call back 15 minutes after that inquiry was originated, it was a dead inquiry.
Oh, absolutely.
15 minutes is dead inquiry. And they had been hit 3, 4, 5 times by 5 or 6 minutes out.
Yeah. And some dealership, like the owners or the dealership management that don't understand that, right? Because the manufacturer tells the dealerships, and most of them says, we want to make sure your response to the customer is under an hour. I'm like, under an hour? They're driving already. But I mean, that's how bad it is. It's like, it's so dead that they're going to be like, wow, I've already talked to 3 other places. Okay. But it's like a 269% increase in getting an actual appointment for the first person that got a hold of them. Right. So you are digging a hole if you're not the first person to get a hold of them. Another tip for me, right? When I get them on the phone, most dealerships try to keep a response time of under 10 minutes. My dealerships, I tell them we have to be under 5 minutes. But when you look at that, under 10 minutes, if I get on the phone with that customer, I'm talking about anything and everything to keep them on the phone for 10 minutes. Why? Because I know every other competitor of mine is trying to call. And I tell them there's going to be a bunch of unknown numbers that come in. Just tell me when you hear the beep, because those are the people that didn't care enough to call you first, like me. Right? They didn't want to earn your business as bad as I did. Right? And then your customer, while you're talking, I don't care if they have a dog in the background. I'm like, oh, what kind of dog is that? I have a dog too. Yeah, I don't care. I'm going to keep talking until I can get past that 10-minute mark. And then we're going to go from there. And they're going to go, there was another one. I'm like, slow pokes. Don't even care. Right? So, but again, that's what I want to do, because I want to put everything in my favor to be the most obvious choice. And I will point out to you that I'm the most obvious choice based on my actions and what I'm doing with you. Okay. Stop calling, right? Stop calling and saying, I'm following up. Stop calling and saying, I'm following up. When you call and go, hi, I'm just following up, you're very weak. You're very not the expert. How many people call up to you and go, I'm the expert in this industry and I know all my stuff, but I'm just following up with you? No, they call to find out what the next step is. They call to get some stuff. So I put this together. It's called Does.
We lose Joe. He just wanted to make sure that we could all see that part.
Yeah, he wanted to pause. Hold it.
Now he's back. There you go.
Does it make sense? Yes.
There he is.
Of course. Dramatic effect. You guys heard of pausing for dramatic, right? That's what it is. Yes. So, but it's simple.
Right.
It's like, does it make sense?
Well done.
Thank you.
Had me fooled.
Does it make sense to schedule a vehicle viewing so you can experience whatever model it is firsthand? Okay. Understand the psychology. No one wants to make a decision. Nobody's going to tell you over the phone, I want to buy something from you right now. You know who says that? People that can't buy. Okay.
Yep.
So to me, what I want you to do is understand it's easier to give my opinion on something than it is to make a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so does it make sense is me asking your opinion. So go in and find it. Does it make sense to reconnect and discuss the Explorer, right? The Subaru Outback, whatever it is. Does it make sense to review our current promotions on the vehicle of their choice? Go and put that out. Okay. I did it with a client of mine. I walked in, told everybody in the internet department, they have like 15 people. I said, everybody, go through the people that have never answered you. Get on there and go through the people that have not answered. And we're going to start sending this out. Right. I said, you're going to go send out. Does it make sense for me to tailor a financing plan that suits your budgets and preferences? Right. And I said, everybody send it out. Go send at least 30 right now. We booked so many appointments because the person responded. They never responds to a text message the first 10 days. They didn't respond to an email at all. We left a bunch of voicemails, but we sent that text message. And all of a sudden, everybody answered back, yeah, but do you still have this? Do you have this? And they started talking about it because I asked their opinion. And now they're going to give me an answer to that opinion, but I'm starting a conversation. Then I walked out, everybody ran to the general manager of this group's store. And it's like, oh my God, this is so great. Look how many appointments we said this. Look, this guy for 40 days never answered us. And now he answered me and I have an appointment tomorrow with the guy. Look at this, blah, 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 right? And the GM was like, wow, that's great. And he comes in and he looks at me and he goes, so what are we doing with that? I go, dude, we're doing, does it make sense? And then he pulls out his phone and looks at his phone and he goes, you jerk, that's how you got me to schedule you for training. And I was like, absolutely. I texted him and said, hey, does it make sense for us to do a last push for the fourth quarter, right? And get the training in for the people to get fired up? And he was like, yes, it does. Let's get something on the books for blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fantastic. But that's what I'm saying. So again, he laughs, but like today I text him and go, hey, does it make sense for your team to be watching the show today at 2:00 where we're going to teach them how to sell more cars through the people that know how to benefit from it? And he just laughed. He said, laugh out loud. I'll send the link. And so, right, push them all over on YouTube and say, watch it. Let's go. Why? Because we need to sell more cars. Okay. So we need to sell more cars. We want to reach out to Brian, subtleskills.com. Bob, you have an event coming up. Can you tell us about the event? Because I know, to me, are you mentally there enough to sell something? Yes.
Yeah, I teach a course called Mastering Your Inner Game. And your inner game is that which allows you to do or not do the things that you keep saying you're going to do. And when sales, how many more sales calls can you make? Well, as many as your inner game will support. The reason you're not making more sales calls or not being effective is because your inner game isn't strong enough to support the actions required for that result that you desire. So I'm doing a one day. It's 9 o'clock in the morning to 4:00 on May 4th. And it's the inner game, mastering your inner game. And it's all online so people can participate anywhere. And if you want information, just dial 949-287-8520, 8520, and text the word IGD, Inner Game Day, IGD, to 949-287-8520, and you'll get a download of all the information. And then you can decide whether it's for you or not. Thanks, Joe. Joe paused again.
Joe's paused again. Hey, now we can just talk trash about Joe.
You guys are all, I can still see.
I think they call that a dramatic pause or something. The C law.
That's right.
Supposed to turn music on that part, Joe.
Yeah,
Where's
I
the
was
fade
gonna say,
track?
all of a sudden, everything goes black, and I'm like, well, I guess we lost internet. Bob, 949-287-8520, and you said text a word. What am I texting?
IGD. Somebody put it in the comments.
Oh, thank you.
Show the comment up there, Joe.
Yes, I was doing it that way, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. Yeah, I was like, where did everybody go? I'm going to say that's flow. I don't
That's
know
flow.
because I'm not in there. It
That's
is.
flow.
So, contrary to a lot of people in the car business, I want to point this out because the comment was made in the private chat and what have you. You do not have to wear short shorts. You do not have to wear super tight pants. Okay. You do not have to make videos that all you do is spout out an actual rebuttal to an objection and then stop the video because the customer would never just let you finish right there. But I'm just telling you that you don't have to follow people that just pull that stuff up like that. But I'm gonna go do push-ups as soon as I'm done. But no, not at all. Right, guys, it's about your ability to create connection with the customer. It's about your ability to have fun. As we all know, Joe, the edutainment guy, I prefer to train. I prefer to sell using humor. If I can get you to laugh, that means your ego gets checked to the side. When you're dealing, that doesn't mean walk up to the customer and tell them a stupid joke, okay? But it means the opportunity to make things lighter. People walk in the door to your dealership or call you or email you in fight mode. They believe it's going to be difficult. It's going to be, we just did one earlier with, we had a call that customer called in, goes, I want a special order vehicle. And I want to do this. And we said, okay, the salesperson goes, well, the vehicle currently has a markup, not if you're selling to me. And we were like, okay, we get it. But you're calling around. You're the 10th dealership I called because no one will let me order one. No one. And we're like, but we're telling you we'll let you order one. But every other dealership you get to, nobody has these vehicles. They're truly limited edition from the factory, and not everybody gets them. And we're like, okay, if we only get one, we're gonna wait and see if we can sell the one. But you're gonna say, nope, tough. I've never paid. Okay, sure, I get it, right?
And you never will.
Yeah, and I'm like, but it's okay. And this is my daily driver. I said, why would you buy a specialty car for a daily driver and you want to lease it? Bro, you're missing the point all over the place. But yeah, that's the guy who pulls up with an exotic car to say, look how good I am to all those potential clients. So, but anything else? Ty, you got something to throw in from outside?
Not a whole lot to piggyback off of. I think that everything y'all talked about is tactical, and just make sure that all this is good. But if you don't think any of it's going to work, like that's going to ruin everything from the jump. If you're selling cars and you feel like there's 20 days left, I haven't had a good start. A third of the month's over. I'm just going to wait till May to get going. Like, man, there's so much you can do in the next 20 days. So take everything you just learned and apply it, and just believe that you do the work, it'll work itself out.
Absolutely, I agree with you guys. So I'm saying, let's go. For those of you that want to raise the internal game, because like Bob said, you're not making your calls. Why? Because your internal game, right, is weak. That's what he didn't say, but I'm going to say, right? And you need to strengthen up that internal game to say, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, right? And so I believe there's activities that lead to a sale. And if you're not doing them, you can't expect a sale. And if we're all sitting around waiting for an up to walk on the lot, we spend a lot of downtime. Okay. We should be dialing and we should be emailing and texting. So, I love that. That sounds more like Tom than anybody else, but I like that. Does it make sense to go out and sell something? I love that. That's fantastic. So everybody, thank you for coming in. Go out and sell a car today. And those of you that don't sell cars, go out and sell something anyway. So thank you, everybody. Reach out to Bob. What are we going to reach out to Bob and say, hey, I want to go? So IGD, right, to that phone number. Go. We're going to go. I'm going to pretend I have subtle skills here and I just flashed it up on the screen, right?
Sure.
Subtleskills.com. Go. Brian's got flashcards that'll help you. Boom. Go see that one. Okay. And then for me, it's funny. I created the website, thedealershipaccelerator.com. Do you know how many people in the car business can't spell accelerator?
Probably the same people can't spell settle.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. Yes. So, but no. So then you go to the Dealer Sparks, and just to take the surprise out of everything, The Dealer Sparks for your sales department is $99 per month per rooftop. Okay, so it's not like I'm going, it's 10 grand a month, but it'll make you that if you did it right. And you know what's inside of it? All of my does this make sense? But if you guys want, does this make sense? I'm going to tell you right now, go to my website. It's ingraminteractive.com/secret. Oh, it's secret stuff now because I got a new website. So I should probably adjust that for you. There we go. All right. If you go there, secret stuff, you will find the DIMS page. You will find a whole bunch of other stuff that will help you to do it. You'll find a little bit about Brian Galkey on that page as well, only because I steal his stuff. I stole Bob's stuff for years. So it makes sense. You know what I've never stole, though? Never stole anything from JR.
Not yet. We got some good cars for you.
Fantastic. All right, everybody, go out and sell something. It's your job.
Bye, everybody.